Hello world! Welcome to Learning Java, one byte at a time. This is video 38 in a tutorial series geared at bringing the wonderful wide world of Java to those with little or no programming experience. In the last video, we began the construction of our view class, which is going to be a very long class to write. We're going to break this up into several videos. We were able to complete all of the imports that we need to make this class work. And in this video, we're going to begin to define all of the private fields of this class that we will need to make the interaction possible. So we're going to jump back in here to the Notepad++. You can see here we're going to pick up where we left off with all of our import statements. So obviously the first thing we need to do is declare this class as being public and name it view. And we're going to use the extends keyword to tell Java that we are extending from another class called the JFrame class. And this will give us some of the additional functionality from that class that we're going to need. So one of the first things we're going to import is all of the buttons and text fields and labels. We're going to have to name them, and then we're going to have to use the new keyword to make a construction of those items. So we'll just start at the beginning. If you remember from the demonstration, we do have all of the attributes of the vehicle are going to be editable through these view elements, and so we'll just take them one at a time. All of these are going to be private, so we'll go ahead and declare a private JLabel that we're going to call logo image label, and we'll set that equal to a construction of a new JLabel, and we're going to pass through a construction of a new image icon, which was also imported. And in here we're just going to have a very basic icon, and the address of this icon we're going to go back and actually fix later, but just to fill it in, we're going to have just an icon.png, but this would actually be the full path to the icon, so wherever that icon is located. And that's all we're going to need for this item right here. So the next item we're going to have is going to be a private JLabel that we're going to call vehicle name label, and you'll probably be able to guess from the way that we're naming these, the naming convention, exactly what each one of these is going to do. This is going to be a new JLabel, and this one is going to be given the text name of project name. The next one we're going to do is going to be a private JText field. This one is going to be called vehicle name text field. And we're going to set it equal to the construction of a new JText field. We don't need that parenthesis there. A new JText field. And we're going to give it a constraint of 20 characters. So the vehicle name is not going to be longer than 20 characters, we'll say. Okay, so let's give ourselves some space here. After the vehicle name text field, we'll go ahead and declare another private field called the JLabel. This JLabel is going to be a vehicle make label. We're going to set it equal to a new JLabel, and this one is going to have the label make. Next, we'll need to have the correlating JText field, in which the user will be able to enter the make of the vehicle, and that's going to be a vehicle make text field. And I'm being purposely wordy with the naming convention of these so that just because there are so many elements that we'll know exactly which component we're working with. This is going to be a new JText field, and we're going to give it the constraints of, just like the name, we'll give it a constraint of 20. There shouldn't be any need for more than 20 characters with naming the make of the vehicle. After that, we'll go ahead and do the model. So that's going to be a private JLabel called vehicle model label. And we're going to set that equal to a new JLabel. Constructing a new label, we will have this one say model. And then the correlating JText field, it's going to be vehicle model text field. And we're going to set it equal to a new text field. Again, 20 characters should be enough. So that gives us the project name, the make, and the model. Now let's go ahead and make another private JLabel, which will be the vehicle base cost label. And this is going to be a new JLabel. and we'll just pass through the text base cost. After that, we will need the correlating JText field. This is going to be, let's see, JText field, vehicle base cost text field. And that's going to be a new text field, and we'll have the cost text field no greater than 10. So that'll be a JText with a constraint of 10 characters. And we'll actually do the conversion from a string to integer at the very end of this. We'll do a private JLabel that we're going to call the vehicle year label. Set it equal to a new JLabel, and this one's just going to read year. We'll do a private JText field, vehicle year text field, and you can almost guess how all of these are going to be going just because of the consistent convention in the naming right now. We'll go ahead and do this as being a new JText field, and we'll give it a constraint of 4 because we know that we're not going to need more than 4 characters for the year of the model. Then we'll do a private JLabel. This JLabel is going to be the vehicle transmission, and it's going to be a new JLabel, and we'll just call it transmission, like so. All right, so with the transmission, we're not going to have simply a text field, but we're going to allow them to select between 3 radio buttons. We're going to have a manual, automatic, and EV radio button. And we're using radio buttons because we don't, unlike checkboxes, want them to be able to select more than one. So let's do a private J radio button, which we'll call, and we have to be very careful with the way we're naming this, vehicle transmission manual radio button. It's kind of a long name, but it's important because we're going to assign these 3 radio buttons to the button group, and the button group again is going to be how Java knows that this is the group of buttons from which only one of them can be uniquely selected. The vehicle transmission manual radio button is going to be equal to a new J radio button with the name manual. We can do the same thing. Vehicle transmission. This is going to be automatic radio button, and we'll set that equal to a new J radio button with the text automatic. And then lastly, in this button group, we'll do a J radio button, vehicle transmission. This is going to be EV radio button, and set that equal to a new J radio button with the text EV. Okay, nice and simple there. So now before we get too much farther, let's go ahead and define the button group these are going to be assigned to. This is going to be a button group. Whoops. We'll do a button group, and this button group is going to be called vehicle transmission button group, and we'll set it equal to a new button group, like so. And we'll just use the constructor right there. And so you'll probably be wondering by this point, how does the transmission button group know to include those 3 buttons that we created? That's going to actually be assigned in the constructor when we're instantiating this class. And so moving forward, we're going to go ahead and define a label for our drive. This will be a private JLabel, which we'll call vehicle, if I can spell, drive label, vehicle drive label, yes. And we're going to set that equal to a construction of a new JLabel, and we'll just have it read drive, like that. Next, we're going to do 3 more radio buttons. This is going to be the front wheel or rear wheel or all-wheel drive. And again, just like the previous radio buttons, we only want one of these to be uniquely selectable. So we'll do a J radio button. Vehicle, you can probably already guess, drive, front wheel drive, radio button equals a new JRadio button that we're going to have it read front wheel. We'll just say front wheel so as not to be redundant. Next, we'll define the other two radio buttons, JRadio button, vehicle drive, rear wheel drive, radio button. And that's going to be set equal to a new JRadio button. This one will read rear wheel, like so. And then finally in this button group, we will define the JRadio button of vehicle drive, all-wheel drive, radio button equals new JRadio button. And this one will be all-wheel. Nice and easy. And then, of course, just to keep it organized, this would be a good place to define our button group. So we're going to define the button group here, vehicle drive button group, and set it equal to a new button group and just the constructor as it is. All right, so after that, we'll go ahead and make another label, private JLabel. We'll call this one vehicle safety features label, and it's going to be set equal to a new JLabel, and we'll just have it read safety features, like so. And let's give ourselves a little bit more space here. All right, the safety features, we're going to implement checkboxes because they can have more than one safety feature. So let's go ahead and define a private J checkbox. The first checkbox we'll call vehicle airbags checkbox. We'll set it equal to the construction of a new J checkbox, and we'll have it read airbags, like so. The next one we'll define is also a J checkbox. Similarly, it's going to be called vehicle ABS checkbox, and we'll instantiate it, a new checkbox, and this one will say ABS. And next we'll do the last checkbox, which will be the vehicle rear view camera checkbox. That's a long name, but better to be more specific than not enough. Set this equal to a new J checkbox, and this one is going to say rear view camera, like so. All right, nothing to it. So next we'll do another label, JLabel. This one's going to be the vehicle grade label. Set it equal to a new JLabel and just have it read grade. After that, we will implement three more radio buttons. JRadio button. This one's going to be the vehicle grade of type economy radio button, equal to new JRadio button, and we want it to say economy. After that, we'll do a private JRadio button for, button for the vehicle grade standard radio button, and that's going to be a new radio button, and this one will simply say standard. And then finally, the JRadio button for our vehicle grade performance. We'll call that a radio button, and instantiate that to a new JRadio button, and we'll have it read performance. Okay, and just like the other radio buttons, we need to define our button group. So let's do a button group, vehicle grade button group equals new button group, and just the constructor is all we need. We're going to actually assign those when we're doing the constructor of the class. All right, we're coming along here. So now after the button group for the grade, we're going to go ahead and define the label for our mileage. So let's do private JLabel vehicle mileage label equals a new J label, and we'll have it say mileage. Then we'll do the text field for that, J text field. Vehicle mileage text field equals a new J text field. And we'll let the mileage have, we'll say 10 should be enough. If it's got more than 10 digits in it, it's probably not a car that you could sell. And we'll do a private J checkbox. The checkbox is going to be whether or not there were previous owners. And this checkbox is going to toggle a field that allows you to enter how many previous owners there were. And so, as we saw before, if there were no previous owners, then that field is going to be disabled. The user is not going to be able to enter any information in that. But if they check the box that there were previous owners, then at that point the box will become active and the user can enter how many previous owners there were. So we do J checkbox of vehicle previous owners checkbox and set it equal to a new J checkbox, and it's going to read previous owners. Now the functionality of that activating or deactivating the text field we will actually take care of with the controller, and we'll see how that's done. Then we'll do the private J text field for the vehicle previous owners, in the case that there are any, equals a new J text field. And we'll say that this text field can have up to 2 digits. I don't see it having more than 99 previous owners. After that, we can do the, we can start the luxury features. So let's do a label for our luxury features, J label, vehicle luxury features label, and we'll instantiate a new J label. We'll have it read luxury features. And under the label, after the label, we'll go ahead and have a couple of checkboxes. This is going to be much like the safety features. They can have more than one luxury feature. So we'll do a J checkbox, vehicle. This is going to be keyless entry checkbox, and we'll instantiate it, a new J checkbox, and this will say keyless entry. We'll do our second checkbox, J checkbox, if I can type correctly. Vehicle, this will be premium sound. And set this equal to a new J checkbox, and just have it read premium sound. And lastly, we'll do the checkbox for the vehicle GPS navigation, and set that equal to a new J checkbox, and just have it read GPS navigation, like that. And just like the others, we will go ahead and declare our button group, vehicle luxury features button group, and set it equal to just a construction of a button group, like that. Okay. All right, we're making some headway now. So after the button group for the vehicle luxury features, let's do the vehicle class button group. And the class is going to have either utility, sport, or luxury. So we'll make the label for this first. Private J label, vehicle class label equals a new J label that we want to say class. The private J radio button, which is going to be the vehicle class sport radio button, is equal to a new J radio button that we want to read sport. The second radio button, vehicle class let's say luxury radio button is equal to a new JRadio button that we want to say luxury. And then I think just to keep it consistent with the demonstration I gave, I think the first one we actually had was the utility. So we'll put the utility up above this. A JRadio button, vehicle, class, utility, radio button, equal to a new JRadio button that reads utility, like so. So that takes care of the 3 radio buttons for our vehicle class. Now let's go ahead and assign them to our button group by declaring a new button group that we're going to call vehicle class button group, and instantiate that just like so. Okay, after that one we will go ahead and have a checkbox indicating whether or not there were any accident history. J checkbox vehicle accident history checkbox equals a new J checkbox. Accident history is what it will read. And after that, we will have a J label for the commission. So that'll be a private J label, vehicle commission label equals a new J label, which will read commission. And then we'll allow them to enter in up to 3 numbers. We don't want to do more than 100%, so that's going to be a private J text field, vehicle commission text field, and it's going to be equal to a new J text field, and we'll give it the constraints of 3. Following that, we'll do a couple more buttons. There's going to be a button for generating the sales ad and one for making a new project and saving a project and loading a project. So we'll do 4 buttons here. This will just be a J button. We'll call it vehicle generate ad button and set it equal to a new J button. And we'll have it read, if I could type, generate ad. After that, we will have a private J button that we'll call vehicle new button and set it equal to a new J button that reads new project. Then we'll have a new J button that we'll call vehicle save button and set that equal to a new J button that reads save project. Then we'll do a last J button called vehicle load button, and we'll set that equal to a new J button that we'll call load project. And those last 2 buttons are going to be what use the data access object to save and retrieve all of the file information. And then last, we're going to have the text area that the sales ad is displayed in. So that's going to be a private J text area. We'll call that vehicle advertisement text area and set it equal to a new J text area. And we're not going to have any constraints on this. We're actually going to format that text area in the constructor. And so, wow, a lot of private fields here that we had to declare, but there were a lot of elements in this interface. So now that we have all of these done, we can come back in the next video and actually begin to define the constructor for this class. Hopefully these videos aren't running too long. I super appreciate everyone watching, and hopefully this has been a lot of fun. We'll come back in the next video and define the constructor. Until then, be aware all of the code is downloadable in a link to the GitHub in the repository in the description below. Otherwise, we'll see everyone back again in the next video. Have a wonderful day.